Today on the channel, we've got a donation review from one of our subscribers in a line we haven't covered before. We're looking at DC Multiverse Batman from McFarlane Toys. I got it figured.
The way I got it figured.
What's up, figure fans? I got it figured back. This time we're looking at a DC Multiverse review, first for the channel. We're looking at Detective Comics number 27, Batman. This figure, like I said, was donated by a channel subscriber, longtime channel subscriber, and wanted me to tackle this one because this is the Batman with a wired cape. Wanted to see how it would look in a review video, so we're gonna do it. And I guess I probably should give some commentary about DC and the lack of coverage thereof. I do love DC Comics, as you know. I've done the Mayfex Medicom toy, Mayfex Batman, Kenner Batman. Batman's pretty much the only thing from DC that's been covered on the channel in the action figure vein. But I love DC Comics, pretty much just as much as I love Marvel Comics. They don't get a lot of play on the channel because I don't really collect 7-inch figures. McFarlane didn't want his line to be 6-inch. He wanted it to be 7-inch. So, I like my figures to go on the shelf together. Mayfex Batman can stand alongside Marvel Legends, not look out of place. So, that's the main reason. So, getting into this figure, the Batman from his first appearance in Detective Comics 27 in 1939. That's what this figure is based off of. And like I said, it's allegedly has a wired cape. Actually, it's not alleged. I know it has a wired cape. So we're gonna get into it. Starting with the packaging, it's the customary McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse package, which isn't bad packaging. Currently got a QR code on the side. You get some extra information. On the back, you got a nice large Detective Comics number 27 cover. QR code also appears back on there. Batman Detective Comics number 27. Some crap on the bottom. And that's your packaging. You can see Batman in here. He's got his purple gloves, different hands, a wrench. We're going to get into all of that. So we're going to get Batman out and see what we can see. Here he is, that weird figure of the night, the Dark Knight Detective, Batman out of the package. We've got all of his stuff here with him. And first thing I gotta say is I found it extremely difficult to get him to stand on my setup without the use of the figure stand that he comes with. So thankfully comes with that. So that's already kind of an issue. I'm gonna play around with him a little bit, see if I can get him to stand without it. But he didn't stand. So going over his accessories. Right off break, you get your Detective Comics 27 card. Batman Detective Comics 27. As if it's not obvious here, but that's what they named the figure. Once again, Batman Detective Comics 27. I'm not going to read it, mainly because it strains my eyes. But here's his data file. You can pause the video and read it if you like. And he comes with a wrench. It's been a long time since I read Detective Comics 27. I don't remember him hitting somebody on the head with a wrench, but maybe he did. He also used a gun, so I don't know. It's possible. Here is he comes with some clutching hands or grasping hands, kind of like maybe he's like jumping through the air hands. And then he comes with what I imagine are chopping hands, or if maybe he's flying through the air with these two. I don't know. As for Batman himself, the package that you get with the figure, he looks good. I was actually mildly impressed with the cape. I like the sheer black of it. So it definitely has kind of a striking look to it. And he has articulation points. He has butterfly joints, as you can see here. They don't work very well, but I'm not gonna harp too much on that. I got Marvel Legends that have butterfly joints that don't work that well, so I'm not gonna immediately get into that. But one thing I will say is his head is perennially sort of in this down-looking position. So, well, okay, maybe not. You just gotta fight with it. So I lifted his head up, but as you can see, when you lift his head up, there's like kind of a gap there, and I don't want this to seem like a nitpick, but there's a big gap there. But he's thematically spot on for the Batman. He's actually probably more muscular than how they drew him back in the day. He's got his utility belt, of course, separate piece on the figure, and got wrist articulation and all that sort of thing. But from a look, he's kind of he looks authentic from a looking standpoint. What I'm sort of concerned about with the standing is how he's sort of his he's like kind of like sloped. So it looks like to me maybe you gotta loosen up the knees a little bit to get him to stand. So I do want to see that he can stand without the stand. I almost had him. There you go. So he can stand without the stand, but his feet are definitely tiny compared to the hands. I mean, they're not big. And one of the things that you will have undoubtedly heard if you're a long time viewer of this channel, that I think that number one, an action figure is supposed to be able to stand. I just believe that. So he's standing. So there you go. Maybe you got to work with him a little bit, but he definitely will stand on the included figure stand. Now, I'll get into the articulation proper. So I already went over the butterfly joints. You can get his arms above 90 degrees. Can't really fault that. Even though his biceps are pinned, his arms are pinned. McFarlane guys still have pins. He does have a pretty decent range of articulation there. You can kind of be muscle bound, posing Batman, kind of. There, got bicep swivel. Obviously, that's going to be in both arms. He's got pretty good back motion. Front wise, he is not going that far. I'm sure that's how they all are. But he does, he does have a pretty good back. Kick back to there, you start to sort of get outside of the trunks. You do that, like this is about as far as you want to go naturally without compromising the sculpt. And I do appreciate that these trunks are sculpted. I gotta say that. I like the fact that they're not just painted there, they're actually sculpted on here. His kicking motion though is definitely semi compromised by the sculpted trunks. Got a pretty deep knee bend. Obviously, got the ankle pivots, and he's got articulated toes. There was no boot cut. So, pretty decent articulation. I don't know if I would say it's as good as Marvel Legends, but it is good. It's got pretty good in the arms, pretty good in the wrists. Kick isn't necessarily the best, but that's due to the trunks, which gives it a more authentic feel. No boot cut, but definitely ankle pivot and of course articulated toes. The natural pose of the figure's head is kind of looking down, like he's standing in the loft or something. So, it's pretty decent. It's not the best articulation I've ever seen, but it's also not as terrible as perhaps I would have thought had I not handled one of these figures. And I generally don't have a lot of reason to handle McFarlane figures for reasons I already mentioned. In regards to posing, however, you can kind of get them in a pretty decent running pose, and I know it'll be this arm, not that arm. You can kind of get them in a decent pose like that. It looks a little goofy. You can get them punching. You can get them doing a jump kick. And it looks pretty decent. In regards to the hands, you pop off very easily, like a Mayfix style hand, or SH Fig Art style hand with just a little pin there. Batman sort of leaping through the air, clutching like he's about to grab somebody. You do that. You got the wrench. And these do not look like gripping hands, so, giving him this wrench doesn't look very authentic, and it doesn't stay it very well. Doesn't look like he really wants to be holding this wrench. I don't know. Yeah, it's kind of weird. So there you go there. We gotta try the chopping hand, I guess we want to call it. Oh, pretty decent. They're not, it's not terrible. It's definitely not terrible. I would say it's not terrible. But of course, the main draw is gonna be the wired cape for sure. It is not as super beefy as the Mafex Batman's cape, but it is, it's like a realistically sized Batman cape. It's definitely not like too small or too short, especially for this era of Batman for sure. Yeah, I would say he's pretty decent. I'm mildly impressed with how these McFarlane figures operate. You know, gotta be honest. I'm gonna give him his fist back though. And yeah. So I guess what we'll do next is do some comparisons, or a comparison. In fact, it would be fair to say the reason I agreed to do this video was mainly because I wanted to do this comparison. So we're gonna do it. Okay, so for comparison, I'm bringing in era specific Marvel Selects Captain America. Put these guys together. They're both 7-inch scale figures, and Cap stands up a little bit easier for sure without a whole lot of work. But they definitely, they look right together. Batman is 6'2", Cap is 6'2". They're just about exactly the same size. So, I mean, I guess theoretically, if you're into 7-inch figures, there is an option for you to have all of your Marvel and DC guys on the shelf together. And I know McFarlane has sort of maybe scaled up his figures from when the line first started. So maybe there were ones that were smaller or whatever. Nothing's ever really 100% consistent. But these guys together, maybe I can almost, perhaps maybe, in a super long shot way, see myself getting a Batman like this so that he could stand alongside Captain America. The only thing is, I'm not going to keep Captain America like his 1941 look. I did that for the video because that's era appropriate. But yeah, there you go. There's a comparison. And I'm going to move on to final thoughts. Final thoughts on McFarlane Toys, Detective Comics number 27, Batman. I'm pleasantly surprised by this figure, how good it is. I actually, I'm not a big McFarlane Toys guy. My son loves Batman, so we do have a couple of them hanging around, but they're one of the really early ones, and they weren't good. This is much better than that. So, it is on par with the Marvel Selects figures, who they themselves also have kind of stepped up their figures in recent times. So you do have an option if you want to have a DC and Marvel collection that can kind of stand together on a shelf. If you want to do that, I'm way too invested in Marvel Legends for that to happen at this point. But but it is nice. It's a nice figure. A couple of things with it, the small feet where it doesn't really want to stand up, even though it's standing up fine right now. The weird wrench that doesn't really go to anything. And then that the gap right here. So just to have his head straight, you gotta have a gap. I don't know if it's just this copy or if they're all like that, but probably all like that. I'm gonna give it an 8. I don't think it's as bad as a 7, and it's hard for me to give it a 9. And I really do, I actually kind of wanted to give it a 9. I really like the wire cape. I like the trunks. I like how the boots are actually kind of like separate. If there's detail there that's really nice. I think they did a good job with it. McFarlane's putting out some decent figures. Maybe on a newer, less Detective Comics 27 appearance, Batman. Maybe I could see it getting one to stand alongside Captain America on the shelf. So yeah, I think an 8's good. It's not anywhere near as bad as I thought it would be. So yeah, there you go. It's my honest assessment. All right, guys. Don't know when I'm gonna have another McFarlane figure to review. I don't really get them. Don't look for them. But this was a nice surprise. Nice change of pace. Always nice to get a DC figure of some kind into the repertoire. So we'll see what happens down the road here. But I'm gonna sign off there for now. And if you're new to the channel, please like and subscribe. Slowly working our way to 1,000 subscribers. I've set a goal to have 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year, so I'm really trying to do what I can to earn that subscription and keep people around. So that's going to be it for this one. Till next time, everybody stay safe. See you on the next video. Peace.
The way I got it figured.